In this video, I want to break down how to actually form a habit and why not understanding how to execute this is costing you years of progress. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Brad Baldwin. I have my bachelor's and master's in the field, and I've coached people on how to lose fat sustainably for almost 15 years now. And I make these videos because there are a lot of unhealthy people in America, and I don't want you to be one of them. Let's get into it. Do you ever feel like you're just getting through life but not actually getting closer to the person you want to be? In fitness, it usually happens around Christmas and New Year's, and you imagine all the bad habits you want to quit and all the good habits that you want to start. This time, I'll actually stick to it, you might say to yourself. This time, I'm actually going to do the things that I say I will, only to end up back to where you started 2 months later. So the question is, how do you get rid of bad habits and make the habits you want easier and automatic? So imagine walking to the grocery store. It's 2 miles away, it's a straight shot, but there are no roads. Just before you start to walk, you begin with the first step, but you're slightly off by 30-40 degrees. If you kept walking in that straight line, you would end up in a completely different place than in your intended trip to the grocery store. And the same goes for our habits. Tiny changes in habits can change the journey of our lives in many ways that we can't even notice until many years into the future, looking back, right? So in both good ways and bad, you are your habits. So to talk about this more, or kind of give you a quote, like a small change in your daily habits can turn your life around or guide your life to a very different destination. So we always think about massive action versus small, tiny improvements. And way too often we convince ourselves that big success is only possible through massive action and pursuing our goals. We expect ourselves to make these large leaps or huge improvements in order to improve ourselves. But the reality is, it's the small, tiny improvements that aren't even noticeable at first that create huge change. So if you want to look at the math and just do it real quickly, 1% better every day for a year compounds to 37 times better. But 1% worse every day for a year will bring you down to nothing. So your habits can compound against you in the form of things like stress, negative self-talk, or they can compound for you in the form of things like knowledge, productivity, skills, relationships. Success is the product of daily habits, not a once-in-a-lifetime transformation. So here's the truth about making real progress. When you start anything in your life, here's what we think should happen. Linear progress, straight line. Lose 2 pounds every single week until we hit our goal. But here's what actually happens. Lose 1 pound the first week, lose 0 the next 2 weeks, 2 pounds the next week, gain a pound back after that, lose nothing the next week, then maybe lose 2 pounds the week after that. And so at the start, small changes in our progress they're barely even noticeable. You've done so much work, you've put in so much effort, and you can barely see any results. You've only lost 2 pounds in the last month overall. This is where most people fail, and they fall back into their old habits. So the biggest outcomes of any compounding process are delayed. So a lot of patience is required with this. I want to talk about goals versus systems. And so it's good to have a specific goal, but that's only the surface. You need to focus on systems. A goal is a specific result you might want to accomplish, but systems deal with the processes that lead to your goals. The conventional education with this suggests that the best way to achieve anything we want in life, be it losing weight, be it building a business, is to set specific, realistic goals, right? But if you completely ignored your goals and focused only on your system, would you still succeed? You would. And here are some problems with only having goals. Successful and unsuccessful people pretty much have the same goals. We all want to tone up, we all want to build strength, we all want to be happy, healthy, productive, want to be financially successful. So therefore, the goals are not really what differentiates the people that succeed. Achieving a goal only changes your life for a moment in time. Goals can create either or conflict. Either you achieve the goal and succeed, or you don't and you're a failure. So even if you're making progress in the right direction, when you achieve a goal, what do you do after? If your goal is running, the New York City Marathon that just happened, chances are after completing it, your motivation will kind of fade and you will just slip back into what you did before. Goals are good for setting direction, but systems are best for making progress. So I'd say the problem with changing your habits isn't you overall. The reason why you repeat the same bad habit for so long isn't because you don't want to change, but because you have the wrong system in place. You have the wrong system for change. So good habits are small routines and behaviors that accumulate to produce incremental progress over time. Big breakthroughs tend to get more attention than small improvements. But what really matters are the little daily decisions and the actions we take. There are 3 layers to behavior change. The first layer is changing outcome, the result, losing that weight, toning up, getting a promotion. The outcomes are what you get. The second layer is changing your process, what you do, the new workout routine, developing a daily reading habit, and something like that. And then the third layer is changing your identity, what you believe, your worldviews and how you think and about yourself, about others. Most people focus on the outcomes, but the best way to change your habits is by focusing on the person you want to become instead of the results you want. The goal isn't to lose weight, it is to become a fitness enthusiast or a gym rat or whatever it is you want to call it. The goal isn't to run a marathon, it's to become a runner. When something you want in your life becomes part of your identity, that is when your behaviors will actually change. When you tell yourself and others, I'm an athlete, you want to live up to that identity. So if you remind yourself every time you do a workout, you're an athlete. Every time you play the piano, you're a musician. And each time you're on a Zoom call or in a meeting or conference, you are a leader. So that's what really matters. Habit loops. A habit is when something becomes repeated enough times that it becomes automatic. Ultimately, we want our habits to solve problems in our lives with the least amount of effort. A habit is formed and reinforced by means of kind of a continuous feedback loop. So you got cue, craving, response, reward. The key to creating habits that stick is to create feedback loops that are continuously being improved. Cue, your phone rings. Craving, I want to know who's calling. Response, I pick it up. Reward, talk to who called or decline it, right? So another one, cue, mind goes blank while you're working from home. Craving, want to alleviate the stress. Response, check Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is. Reward, feel a little less frustrated for a minute. Over time, rewards become tied with cues. So in this example, checking Instagram becomes tied to your mind going blank at work. And then checking Instagram may be the cue to check Facebook, which becomes the cue to check Snapchat, TikTok, whatever. And before you know it, you've wasted like half an hour. And the more you go into these habit loops, the stronger and more automatic they become. Cues can really be anything. A smell, a sound, a sight, a location. Try to think of any cues in your daily life that are initiating your good or bad habit loops. So how can we make the habit loop work for us in a positive way? Well, there are 4 big rules that will help us solidify a habit. And today, I want to go over the most important one because I don't want to make this video too long. And so one of the ones I like to think about is do the obvious. Most of your current habits are so automatic that you don't even realize them. You must first become aware of your habits before you can change them. You can achieve that with like a habit sheet or scorecard or schedule. So write down all your daily behaviors on a habits sheet. From the moment you wake up until the moment you go to bed. It may look something like this, wake up, alarm, eat breakfast, check Facebook, shower, go to work, everything. Based on whether it helps you become the person you aspire to be, categorize each habit as positive, negative, or neutral. You're not trying to change anything right now, but just observing what is going on in your schedule. I'd say vagueness is a real problem when it comes to habits, and studies have shown that most of the time the reason people fail to stick to a habit is not because they don't have motivation, but because of a lack of clarity. Sometime this year, I'll get back into shape. It's very easy to say to yourself, but too vague to get started. What you need is a specific schedule and a place. The most common cues, time, location, will help you achieve your goals. Clearly state your intention to act using a formula like I will behavior at this time in this place. Here's a few examples of like maybe two different people explaining their fitness intention for the month. Who do you actually think out of these two will actually form the habit? Example 1, I'm going to work out more this month. Example 2, I will work out for 30 minutes Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 p.m. immediately after I get off work, right? Who's actually more likely to stick to it? We know. Another good way to get a habit started is by habit stacking. And I've talked about this before. To stack habits, you just take a new habit that you're trying to solidify with a habit that you already have. After this current habit, I will new habit. For example, this one hits home. Before I'm allowed to brush my teeth, I have to floss. So putting a constraint on an old habit that you always do, I always brush my teeth, but I struggle to floss, can force us into a new habit. Now I always floss because I'm not allowed to brush my teeth until I floss first, right? So here's one with working out. When I arrive home from work, I immediately will change clothes and I'll start working out immediately. The habit you do daily, coming home from work, is stacked with immediately working out. Now you won't have time to relax, unwind, and then probably talk yourself out of working out because you're too tired or you don't have time, because you immediately do it when you get home. Choosing the correct trigger is essential. You need a trigger cue, and your trigger cue could be something like, you automatically do without fail during your day, such as waking up, turning off your alarm, brushing your teeth, coming home from work. So that's what I would say to do. Motivation it's highly overrated, and motivation is finite, meaning you're never going to be motivated all of the time. No one is. If I only worked out when I was excited for it or motivated, I definitely wouldn't be in great shape. You can better shape your behavior by designing your environment. We're more influenced by our environment than our willpower or motivation. It's hard to stick to positive habits in a negative environment. Environment is kind of an invisible hand that shapes human behavior. Creating a habit requires you to redesign the space around you too. Make it easier to see the cues for the desired habits and avert bad habits by making them invisible, right? If you want to drink more water because you forget to drink waters, make the cues visible and obvious. Put water bottles around your house or your apartment so that you always see them. If you're forgetting to take your vitamins or your supplements at night, put them on the bathroom sink where you'll always see them right before you brush your teeth. On the other side, if you struggle to work out at home and all of your equipment is packed away in the garage or in a room in the basement where you rarely ever go, how likely is it that you will form the habit when you never get reminded of what you need to do? This is just one of several. So this is like one of the more important ones. I hope this was somewhat helpful. If you have any questions about this, or if you want to learn more about how to form habits that stick, comment here, message me on Instagram, Brad Baldwin Fitness, or join one of my free challenges on Facebook. And I hope you liked this. If you did, click subscribe, like some of my videos, and I will see you guys on the next one.